Can I start? Okay. On to the
Yes, ma'am.
first two slides. Okay, I'll wait.
Ma'am, we can start, ma'am.
Okay. The first two slides are regarding the program agenda that will be going on, and every chapter that I'll be going through, I have made it as a name of module. So in total, we'll be having 11 modules throughout our 1 hour journey. Sorry, can I start? Okay. Chapter number 1 will be the introduction to IKS. Chapter 2 will be foundation of Indian management thoughts. Then module number 3 will be management principles from Arthashastra. Module number 4 is leadership lessons from Bhagavad Gita. Module 5 will be Chanakya principles of leadership and governance. Module 6 is organizational culture and Indian philosophy. Module number 7 is decision making in Indian wisdom. Ma'am, can you change the slide? Module number 8 is yoga and mindfulness in management. Module number 9 will be relevance of IKS in modern business. The last will be the conclusion, where we'll be going on with what our thoughts are. And the last will be the case study of Indian management knowledge system and Indian managements. Okay. The first slide is introduction to IKS. What is an IKS? That is just an overview of about what we think about our IKS. The IKS it refers to, ma'am, can you change the slide? It refers to the vast systematic body of knowledge, philosophical, scientific, artistical, legal, and managerial. Here I have used few words. One is philosophical, where we think about the philosophy, what happened in Ramayana, what happened in Mahabharata. They are the philosophies. The scientific, they are now whatever was there. Ram Setu was built. Now we are having, we thought it previously, it was just a philosophical, it was a mythological concept. Now we are finding out whether it was really built, what was the chemical properties of that stone that swims onto the sea. It is artistic, it is legal, it is proved and managerial because it is giving us the various management thoughts. It developed the Indian subcontinent over 5,000 plus years ago, which preserved the thoughts of oral traditions, manuscripts, epics, and classical treaties. Why we are going on with this IKS? It is having few things that we would like to know about it. It is having the textual heritage. We are finding Upanishads, Vedas, we are finding the core discipline with it, and nowadays we are finding the relevance in today's world. How we are finding the IKS things from Upanishads, Arthashastras by written by Kautilya Chanakya ji, Bhagavad Gita, which was already done in Mahabharata time duration. It there is manuscript and Dharma Shastra that is there. Yoga Sutra of Patanjali and various other organizations is there. Chanakya Niti is there. What are the various core disciplines that we get it from all these books? As like Vedas and Upanishads are going to give you the philosophies and ethics. Arthashastra, governance and statecraft. Bhagavad Gita and Mahabharata is going to tell you about economics and Arthashastra. Manusmriti and Dharma Shastra is going to tell you about the psychological and well-being. The Yoga Sutra is going to tell you about the ecology and sustainability, whereas Chanakya Niti is going to tell about the logic and epimetology. What is the relevance in today's world? As per NEP 2020, IKS, it is mandate for each and every institute. I belongs to a teaching fraternity. I think all the FDPs persons are also the part of FDPs, are belonging to the same teaching fraternity. So it has been a mandate of NEP 2020 to have IKS. Next is it is having AICT IKS curriculum. It is already there. UN SDG alignment is there. Mindful leadership is there. Stakeholders ethic is also based. Who are stakeholders? Stakeholders, we are having our stakeholders as our society, our students, our college, our university, the near around surroundings, each and every place to which our education is implementing, our education is affecting. They all are the part of our stakeholders. The curricular economy roots. So, in summary, IKS is not a methodology. It is structured, empirical knowledge tested across million years. Ma'am, can we change the slide, please? The next is the foundation of Indian management thought. That is our module number 2. Now, what there comes up in module number 2? Ma'am? Yeah. The foundation of 4 Purusharths, which are the goals of human life. The 4 Purusharths are Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. It's like the hierarchy that we are having it in our management hierarchy theory. We are having over here, we are having the 4 hierarchy pyramids. One is the Dharma, the other is the Artha, the other is Kama, and the last is Moksha. What is Dharma? It is the rightness and duty. That is our Dharma. Hamara Dharma, the right conduct, ethical responsibility, law, the moral framework governing all actions. What are the management parallels? It says with, it goes on with corporate governance and ethics, CSR and compliance culture. It is based on value based leadership and integrity in stakeholders dealing. So, the dharma of our past, the dharmas of old ancient time period, we are finding it in coordination with these 4 terms: corporate governance and ethics, CSR, value based leadership, integrity in stakeholders earning dealings. Sorry. The next is earth. Earth means what, when we are working from 9 to 5 or from 8 to 8, what has been the resultant out of it? That is the wealth and prosperity. But that wealth and prosperity should be on what grounds? So that artha means the material well-being, economic resources, strategic acquisition of wealth through ethical means. The various management philosophies in today's world with which this artha is correlated with it, it is revenue generation and growth, resource management, strategic planning. Strategic planning, we'll be covering it in the next module, that is module of Kautalya, and organizational sustainability. The next is our karma. What is karma? The desire or the motive for which we had been advised to do. Motivational theories. We goes on with all those motivational theories. So they are the legitimate desires, motivations, creativity, deriving force behind humans' engagement and efforts. We have to look smart. What has been the motive? The students come to the college, sometimes they comes up with the shaky hairs, sometimes they comes up with various other things. Why? Maybe their motive is not to have a marriage for at least this duration for which they had been studying. Second motive might have been that they want to get a good job from getting educated from there. Some motive would have been, I have to look after my father's office. So till that time when I'll be joining up that office, I should get that theoretical and practical exposure. I'll be applying that practically or theories in our offices or somewhere else. So it has been in parallel with today's management. Employees motivation and HR. We have to find out what sort of HR policies, what sort of less burning out sessions to be keep for the employees. Maslow's hierarchy, parallel, innovations and creative culture, intrinsic versus extrinsic reward. What is moksha? Moksha means liberalization and purpose, ultimate freedom, self realization. The self actualization in the Maslow's hierarchy theory is moksha. We says or we hears it from our ancestors and number of times that आज अच्छे कर्म करोगे तभी कल अच्छा रिजल्ट मिलेगा. तो दैट इज अच्छा कर्म जब मिलेगा, the resultant output is the moksha that we think about. When we are free from our duties, we think हमने मोक्ष पा लिया, गंगा नहाया है, मोक्ष पा लिया. तो that moksha is the ultimate freedom, self realization. हमने कहाँ गलत किया, कहाँ सही किया. Transcendence, leading beyond ego, towards collective purpose. Now we have to think about the karma that we had been working for, the motivational force that had been asking us to work. What has been the ultimate result out of it? The ultimate result as a management parallel that we are studying in today's world is purpose driven organization, self actualization and leadership, servant leadership model, and long term legacy building. So, in summary, what we can say about this module of the four Purusharthas of human life, it is Dharma governs all. Dharma is the priority. Dharma is what we do. Dharma is not about ki, what is my caste. Dharma is not about ki, to which religion you belong. Dharma is all about the work that you have to do. It is all about the earth, the calm, the moksha that is pursuant with bounds. Ma'am, next slide, please. Yeah. The next are the module number 3. Module 3, what it is going to explain about. It is all about the management principles from Arthashastra. Who is Kautilya? Each and everyone might be aware about him. Who is Kautilya? The Chanakya, the great philosopher, the guide, the teacher. He belongs to our same fraternity. He is Kautilya. Kautilya, in the happiness of his subjects, lists the king's happiness in their welfare. He has written these lines. His welfare he should not consider as good only that which pleases him, but treats as beneficial to him whatever pleases his subject. It has been said by Kautilya. And due to this reason only, the whole Kautilya came into limelight of bringing out that Mauryan Empire. His stories, his 7 pillars that we'll be starting up with, are the part of Buddhism. Because Mauryan Empire, next king after Chandragupta Maurya, becomes the Buddhas. So there comes the Saptanga theory, the 7 pillars of organization, which goes on with Swami, who is the leader, the king, the Amate, the minister's team, the Janpadas, the people's market, the Durg, the infrastructure that we are keep making, the Kosha, the financial aspects, and the Danda, law and philosophy. Mitra means alliance. When we are going on, this whole thing, it is applicable in our society nowadays. Ma'am, can you share the second slide? Then again, I'll come back to the slide. Please, the next slide. Yeah, the 7 limbs. The 7 limbs of Sapsanga of the state. Swami is the king. He is the supreme ruler, which is acting as the head of the state, responsible for leadership, security, and the welfare of the subject. He has to think about it. So why did Chanakya went against that Raja Dhananand? It was just because of it. He wasn't thinking about the welfare of society. He wasn't thinking about the welfare of the Indians. He said, the history says कि he opened up his shekha and said कि इस तरीके का राजा who is always busy up with his own welfare measures and not thinking about the public should not remain the king, and I will bring up a king who will think about the public. So here, according to him, Swami the king is the supreme ruler. The next is Amatya. Amatya are the ministers, the councillors, the bureaucracy, which is responsible for administration and ensuring effective governance. The ministers. We are also finding the ministers amongst our. The next are Janpadas, the territories and the population, the land, the nature resources, the people inhabiting it, providing economic foundation and labor force. They all are the part of Janpad. Durg, the fort, the fortified capital, the fortified stronghold to protect the kingdom from internal and external threat. Kosha, the treasure, the state's financial resource, amassed through lawful taxation and essential for army maintenance and public welfare. The Danda or Bala, the army military, the armed force and coercive force power remaining to maintain internal law and order and defend the state. Whereas the Mitra, the loyal, the allies that we are having, the loyal and reliable external allies that support the state in times of crisis or war, indicating the importance of diplomacy. Looking around whole of these 7 limbas in today's culture, in today's world, we are having the PM, the president. We are having the various ministers. We are having the Janpadas, the states, the various states. Along with that, which state is famous for which product, the government is trying to improvise them. The Durgas, the various forts, the various other basic necessity, whereas the various historical sites like Taj Mahal, they are the fortas. The koshas, the revenue that we generate out of it. If we are not paying the tax properly, the government will have the Danda Samiti for us. They have already implied that is not for earning the profit from the government, but it is just a measure asking us or of compelling us that if you are not going to pay the tax on time, if you are not going to pay the koshas, or if you are not going to get the government a share of their kosha, then the government is going to take a action against you. The next is that Danda Bala is also already used, is already there for army, for military. It is also there for auditors. So for army, for military, we have to make up a reserve because they are going to protect up our country. As like in the World War scenario, it is the World War scenario that we are finding out between Iraq, Israel. What all are the things that are going on? They are Swami, they are Amatsya, they are Janpadas, there are Durgs, the Dandas, the Balas are taking care of them, whereas the Kosha is becoming empty, and Mitra, the various alliances of various countries. The NATO has been called up by Mr. by our, everybody knows, need not to name out. Huh? Ma'am, can we go on back to the previous slide, please? The mandala theory, the stakeholder mapping, we have to map up as per our old theories. We have done our Sapsanga theory, the 7 pillars of organization. The second one from Kautilya's Arthashastra is the mandalas theory. What does the mandalas theory says? It is the concentric rings of allies, neutral and rivals, strategic relationship. It has been mapped like a chessboard, basis for competitive and alliance strategy. What sort of alliances, what sort of strategies we are going to frame out? They are the mandalas theory. They are the stakeholders mapping. If the company is putting up all the profit back to the business, how many investors or how many shareholders, or what will be the price of the share? That is the mandala theory says. And the last is the Chaturanga strategy. Chaturanga strategy means the four elements of strategic power. They are the mantras. The first priority for everything has been given up to the mantras, the advice, the intelligence, the prabhava, what sort of authority on which you are sitting up. The next is the utasha, the energy execution. What sort of energy do you have? Do you have the positive vibe or you have the negative vibes? The next is vibha, that they are the resources, from which resources you have gone through, and precursor to resource based strategy. Now, based on the resources that we are having, we have to frame up a strategy accordingly. That is the Chaturanga strategy says. Arthashastra is arguably the world's first treatise on management, governance, and economic strategy. It is not always such that it has been written for the first time, but it has been came to the human being or to our generation for the first time. No doubt, strategy was already made before as well. There are various gurus as per our religion as well, that we knows that there are gurus, they have already given up their strategies. But as per modern philosophy, they are the strategies that follow. So for becoming a good researcher, for becoming a good influencer, or for becoming a good communicator, there are basic things that I would like to suggest. They are not the part of our uh, IKS right now. They are the research, the readers. The readers, all the leaders are the readers. All the leaders are the readers. The reads. Kautilya Chanakya has also done the reading from the past things, from the past history, historical scriptures he might have taken out. What he did next? He did the documentation. The documentation as per the new things, the documentation as per the current scenario. So he has modified certain things. And the remaining things or the other principles we'll be capturing back with all these various other communication skills in a preceding module number 5. The next, how these seven pillars, how these mandala theories, and how these chaturanga strategy is going to have it in concern with our modern parallels. They are Saptasanga, the balanced scorecard. We are having the Saptasanga. The Saptasanga is having a balanced scorecard, or we can say McKinsey's 7S laws. The mandalas, according to mandalas, they are having the Porter's 5 force model or stakeholders mapping. The Kosha, the financial management and treasury, we are teaching the same sort of subjects to our students based on these things. The next is Danda, the corporate compliance and governance, and the Mitra, they are the strategic alliance and partnership. So we are finding each and every theory given by the Kautilya belonging to the modern philosophy. We are correlating it according to IKS with the modern thoughts that we need to teach our students. The next is, what are the core principles of the seven pillars or Saptasanga that Chanakya has taught? They are organic structure, hierarchy of importance, and goal. Organic structure, the state is seen to have living organism. Each element is critical and interconnected, so we cannot leave any of the interconnected element. Hierarchy of importance, while all are vital, early elements like the king, the swami, are usually considered more critical than later ones like ally mitras. So there should be a proper hierarchy of importance. If ally mitra is telling anything and the king is refusing that thing, we shouldn't go with the ally mitra as per the hierarchy of importance. And the last is the goal to establish a secure raksha kosha should be maintained, suitable palana and prosperous yogakshama state. Yogakshama state means where we are trying to find out in the state of mind that we are going to provide shama to each and everyone. It is just, the next slide is just a summary of what all we are going to study and what all has been the part of our IKs. It's like timeless wisdom management lessons from ancient India, the Saptasanga theory, ethics, conduct, and personal mastery. The next is dharma centric governance. What is the dharma? How far is dharma there? Purpose driven alliances. There are certain alliances which are only for purposes. स्ट्रेटेजिक अलायंसेस, आज आप मुझे टेक्नोलॉजी देंगे, मैं आपको आपकी करेंसी में पेमेंट करूंगा. The next are comparing Kautilya's 7 limbs to the modern corporate equivalents. They are ancient limba, 7 kings. The Swami, the king, is the CEO in business. The Amatya are the senior managers or department heads, whereas the Janpada, the people, the territory, they are the customers or the employees. The next is ethic, conduct, and personal mastery. निष्काम कर्म, हमें अपना कर्म करना है without any thought. Then Ankteshwaras and Sattvic leader. There are Sattvic leaders with the higher hierarchy. The next slide, ma'am. Arthashastra, the key management and administrative principles. What are the administrative principles that we find out from Arthashastra? First is recruitment and HR management. For correct person at the correct time, select ministers on merit, not on birth. Raja ka beta raja nahi. Test with honesty traps. Traps should be put on in order to check their honesty. Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Bhaya, systematic performance appraisal and reward system, which has been described in Chanakya's 15 books. The next are the fiscal policy and economics, detailed state budgets, tax policy, trade regulation, revenue, how much revenue has been imparted for military, how much revenue has been imparted for education purposes. Fair taxation policies should be made. Poorer, there shouldn't be the widening of the gap between the poorers and the richers. A king should collect tax like a bee collects a honey. He shouldn't loot the tax. He shouldn't loot the persons without harming the flower, without making extraordinary things on the general public. The public should not say, Ki, so everything has been finished. We are earning and we are providing the tax. We are not getting anything in our hands. The next is intelligence and information system. We should have the intelligence, whereas the information system is also must for us. Like US ka raw agencies, the CBI agencies, elaborate the spy network, the Sanstha and the Samachar should be made in such way कि आपकी confidential information is not going out of the country. Competitors intelligence should also be find out कि what our competitor is doing, what he is good at, what sort of new policy, what sort of new product he is bringing up, so that we can think accordingly. The research and development cell should be made in such a way. Internal audit should be done. Whistleblower system should be there. There are 2,300 years before modern corporate intelligence functions. Welfare and CSR obligations, the state duty to take care for orphans, the elderly, pregnant women, and disabled people, works, irrigation, the famine relief, stakeholders' welfare as governance obligations, crisis and risk management, 6 months of foreign policy, Sandhi alliances should have been there. At the time of Varga or war, at the time of Asana, we have to wait. At the time of Yana, we have to march. At the time of Samshraya, we have to seek protection. And at the time of Dvaida Bhiva, we need to have a dual policy. Plan A and plan B execution should be made in such a situational strategy. Which sort of, out of these six policies, which one to adapt? The leadership qualities the leader must possess: the intellectual, the enthusiasm, the strength. Why he should be intelligent? In order to make the decision. Why he should be enthusiasm? Once he is filled up with enthusiasm, looking at him, the motivation doesn't comes with words. It comes with actions. The people watches what you are doing and then they work accordingly. It should have the strength of taking decisions. He shouldn't be a puppet of any XYZ person. They must be trained, disciplined, and shun the six enemies. What are the six enemies that every person have? And they shouldn't be the servant or following all such six enemies. They are the lust, the anger, the greed, the pride, the arrogance, and the folly. If we are finding all these six things, then we are saying that the Arthashastra key management and administrative principles are working properly. The next slide, ma'am. After looking at all these things from Chanakya, the master architect of power and wisdom, we can say, Chanakya has been the master. He has been the architect of power and wisdom. The Saptasanga theory that he has given the physical foundation, the Janapadas, the Durgas, the pillars of power, the Koshas. Whereas the three ideologies that he has already given, they are the strategic ideologies. Even if the snake is not poisonous, it pretend to be venomous. Protection and image of strength. Project of an image of strength and resilience of dissuade potential threats. We should be afraid about that snake. We shouldn't say कि अभी तक attack नहीं हुआ, अभी तक world war नहीं हुआ, why should be worried? We should be having that, why should we put our taxes amount for reserves for military? Why should we provide them? Because even if the snake is not poisonous, but it is venomous. The triple question filter should be levied. What sort of triple question filter? Before acting, evaluate the purpose. We shouldn't react. Reaction should be the later resultant. What should be the first thing? The first thing should be to evaluate the purpose, to potential the result, and the likelihood of success. When will we'll be in a situation to find the success? And the last is merit over inheritance. The true greatness is determined by person's deed, character, but not by the birthright. I am the child of a businessman, then I will be a businessman. No doubt you can be a businessman, but how much successful you can be, it depends. Taking a live example of Mr. Anil Ambani and Mukesh Ambani. They both are the child of the same businessman, great late Mr. Dhirubhai Ambani. But to what extent they had been successful? Both of their success milestones are little different. Next slide, ma'am. Starting up with a new module now. Module number 4. Ma'am, yeah. Leadership lessons from Bhagavad Gita. Under Bhagavad Gita, we are finding Nishkam Karma, Yoga. So, slide change, ma'am. The explanation for whole of that is karma. What is karma? Karma is the desire or selfless action. Let right deeds be thy motive, not the fruit which comes from them. Desire अपना selfless action. Our deeds should be the motive. Our fruit should not be the motive. We are finding it nowadays. We are providing the grades. We are not providing the marks to the students because they get demotivated at a lower stage. The various management thoughts regarding with this Nishkam Karma are servant leadership, purpose over profit, ESG align, and intrinsic motivation. The next is Hip Stipa Ranjana, the stable minded leader. The leader should be stable. ऐसा नहीं, it shouldn't be such. Today we are saying that yes, the sun rises in the east. After somebody has told us something, we changes up our mind. The things should be clear, as crystal as clear. One, one who is unaffected by sorrows, does not crave pleasures, and is free from fear and anger. The person may come, the person may go, but the shows continue. Rajkumar movies dialogue. Rajkumar, our late great hero. From the management point of view, emotional intelligence, crisis leadership, meaningful leader, leading under pressure without losing clarity. The next is Swadharma, one's own unique duty and calling. I do not know to which dharma I believe. I do not know to which religion I know. But we all belongs to the same dharma. We all belongs to the same fraternity. That is our teaching fraternity. Maybe our worshipping pattern might have been different. Maybe the way we teach is are little different. But we all belongs to the same dharma, that is Sarva Dharma. Better is the one's own dharma through imperfectly performed than the dharma of another's well performed. That is the Sarva Dharma everyone should follow. According to Gita, it has been written up in chapter number 3, verses number 35. What are the various management thoughts that we are learning out of it? That is authentic leadership, strength based management, role clarity, and personal brand and purpose. The next is yoga of action, karma yoga. You should be a karma yogi, said by Mr. Modi. He should be disciplined, mindful execution should be there. The Gita describes three paths of karma yoga or yoga of action. They are jnana, bhakti, and karma. Janana means knowledge, bhakti means devotion, the last is karma means action, all which are leading to realization. According to management, what is yoga of action? It means deep work, discipline of productivity, continuous learning culture, engagement and flow states. Next slide, ma'am. Here comes the mantra of karma. What is the mantra of karma? The karma vidaraske ma faleshu kadachama ma karma furte bhumate sangosta va karmayani. Sorry for that wrong Sanskrit that I have read, but it is belonging to shloka number 47 of chapter number 2. Next slide, ma'am. According to Shita Prajana, Arjuna inquired, O my dear Lord, which symptom is one known as transcendent to with three modes? What is the behavior and how does it transcend to the modes of nurture? They were there at Gita chapter number 14, verses number 21. Next slide, ma'am. The basic lesson that we get from Bhagavad Gita, it is the meaning of karma. Karma is the intention what you want to do. Karma, the intention behind action, is what matters. Sometimes we say that we should tell the truth. Honesty is the best policy. But sometimes we hide that truth. Sometimes we do not speak that truth. So that is the karma. What has been the intention behind speaking that lie? If that lie would have been there for somebody's goodness, then that is the best. That is based on the timeless management. Hmm? The next is Gita based ethics leadership framework, ethical leader. Atma Jana, self awareness or inner peace. Dharma, the moral integrity, the ethical decision making. The Karma Yoga, the selfless service, the action without attachment. The Loka Sangra, the community welfare and the social responsibility. And the last is Samatva, that is emotional stability and balanced perspective. This is the fifth point that has been having the greatest importance, the emotional stability, for which n number of counselors are even advised. We spend an amount of money for having that emotional stability. There are various sources through which we attain that stability, but still, that is the must. Bhagavad Gita extended management applications. There are three gunas which understand the human and organizational nature. The three gunas are Sattvic guna, Rajasic guna, and Tamasic guna. What is Sattvic guna? The clarity, the wisdom, the balance that we have. Transformational leadership guides with vision, truth, and calm, builds his high trust culture. The Rajasic guna, that is action, passion, and drive. The transitional leader results oriented, energetic, but may be overly competitive or ego driven. The Tamasic guna is laser sphere leadership, avoidment of reactive createness, stagnation, must be transformed through sattva. This Sattvic guna is having the Videga yoga leading through crisis. Arjuna's breakdown, a leadership paralysis under extreme stress. Krishna responds structured counseling, over where give him a number of sessions on which the Bhagavad Gita has been written. Systematic reframing, meaning making, blueprint for crisis coach, and resilience building. The next is Loka Samagra, welfare of all. Our welfare shouldn't be the welfare, it should be the welfare for each and everyone. That is the Rajasa Guna. Action, passion, drive. Our passion is to make our organization grow. So that is the Loka Samagra, welfare of all. Whatever a great man does, other follows. They does not listen to them. They follows what he does. Leaders must act not for self-interest, but for the welfare of all being, employees, society, environment, precursors to stakeholders theory and conscious capitalism. The next is Viveka and Vairagya, discrimination and detachment. We shouldn't be attached to anybody जिसका detachment का दर्द. We are working whatever the time duration is, but we shouldn't be very much having that tamasic guna in us कि we are attached with it. Because once we are attached, we will not be in a better situation to take any sort of decisions. For example, if I am having a love for certain particular product or particular company, and I'm there at the place at the time of buying and selling of shares, my decision would be little bit emotionally bound at the time of selling of that company share. If that company share falls and I'm finding that I won't be getting that amount or the profit amount that I'm getting right now, but still I won't sell that share because I'm having that emotional connection. So that gun should not be there when you are at professional place. At work, at emotional place, or at your home, when you are there with your nearby, the great friends. The next slide, ma'am. What are the summary key themes? Yeah. Key themes for managers according to Bhagavad Gita teaching with the modern application. The first theme is motivation. Nishkam karma has been the motivation. As per the modern application, it is passionate work, not focused on extrinsic rewards. The next is leadership. Leadership as exemplar, leading by example, high integrated. Strategy, buddhi yoga, intellect. High thinking, thinkers, clear vision. Resilience, that is Shita Pragnya, staying calm in crisis and failure. And ethics, Devi Sampat, divine qualities, corporate social responsibilities, CSR activities that we are performing nowadays. Slide change, ma'am. I am I have written up this quote as Krishna has been called as Jagat Guru. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansa Churana Mardanam Devaki Devaki Paramanandam Krishna Vande Jagat Guru. Each and everyone is following Krishna as his Jagat Guru. We are following his principles. We are following whatever he has written in Bhagavad Gita. In various chapters at the time of attachment, detachment, which is there in various chapters, at the point of when we are motivating, at the time when we are thinking how to work, at the time of stress, we find his blessings and we work on it. The next is the Chanakya's principle and leadership and governance, the Niti, strategy, and science of administration. Again, my chapter, the communication style, the way how to influence the communication or how to be a leader in communication. I'll be speaking few lines about it. Chanakya, as we already discussed about the 2 points that we did it previously, he was a good reader, he was a good researcher, as all leaders are very good readers. He does the documentation, he does the writing. Apart from that, he did self management. What is self management? Self management is the time management. If you had been asked to come to any XYZ place at 5, you shouldn't reach by 5:05. You should reach by 4:55. The next is company of successful persons. It is not such that no, I won't be talking to other persons. We'll be talking to all other XYZ persons, but we would like to be in the company of great peoples. Because great people, great persons thinks alike and we learn a lot from them. The next is it should be result oriented and thought like a leader. Or supposingly, there was a story that I read. There was a man who was climbing up a mountain, and there was another man who wasn't in a situation to climb that mountain. He said, "You won't be able to climb the mountain." Man, the first man who was climbing that mountain, he said, "I've already climbed the mountain in my thoughts, and it is just the time to execute." So the Chanakya principles, leadership, and governance are teaching us these things. Next slide, ma'am. The first is the Chanakya's principle of leadership. Sorry, ma'am, you have shifted 2 slides. Coming back to the old one. Yeah. Principles of leadership and governance. A person should not be too honest. Whatever he is thinking, whatever he is planning, he should tell. Straight trees are cut first, and honest peoples are screened first, according to Chanakya on strategic wisdom and not immorality. What he said the Shat Anga, the 6 qualities of a good leader. He should have a Danda, disciplined authority. He should have Kosha, the fiscal prudence. He should have the Mitra, the strong alliance. He should have the Durga, the secure system. And he should have the Rashtra, the people welfare. And he should be the Swami of personal characters. He shouldn't, maybe I am not the king, but if I'm a person of great thoughts, if I'm a person of good character, will be a Swami. Somebody XYZ will be following us for our good things. So they are the Shatangas. The next are Trividha Shakti, the 3 sources of power. First is the Prabhu Shakti, the position power. The second is the Mantra Shakti, the intellectual or advisory power. The last is the Udhasa Shakti, the energy will power. The leaders must balance all the 3 Shaktis efficiently. The next are the Nitis. What are the Nitis? The science of right policy. What does the science of right policy means? According to Chanakya Niti, Chanakya Niti lays out the principles for ethical governance. Be firm but fair, reward loyalty, punish betrayals, maintain confidential, and always plan for succession. Now, Chanakya's leadership, how can we call it in layman's language? King who is every active will obtain the earth. Before you start a war, you should know your real alliances are. A ruler must first manage himself before managing others and test a servant in a discharge of duties, relatives in disable difficulties, a friend in adversity, and a wife in misfortune. They are the various things that he has given in us to find out what or how we have to find out the decisions. The next slide. Yeah. The Chanakya's strategic management application. It is first is the business intelligence. The espionage business intelligences, the Chanakya's elaborate spy network parallelly all across the world, modern competitive intelligence, market research, SWOT analysis, the mandalas, the competitive landscape, the treasury CFOs and financial governance, detailed account of state revenue and all, the recruitment and talent management. What about the recruitment and talent management? Testing the candidates for integrity via temptations, dharma, artha, karma, and bhaya. The various tests were there. Selecting ministers based on characters, competency, and loyalty. Punishment that is based on, as well as the reward that is based on your performances. And foreign policy or alliance strategy. All these strategies we are finding in nowadays as well. We are following the same strategies. The next is the next module. Next slide, ma'am. Module number 6. The next module says organizational culture in Indian philosophy. What does it mean? Vasudevan Kutumban, Sarvadaya, and collective harmony. They are the three things. Vas, Vasudeva Kutumban. It means पूरी भूमि मेरी कुटुंब है. We follow the whole village as our family. The world is one family, Maha Upanishada has said. Previously, when the people go out of the village or out of their town, in the layman's language, they used to call it as परदेश गया है. परदेश जाके ध्यान रखना. So that is not Pardes. No doubt they are there in the same country. But still we call it as Pardes because they are going out of that kutumb. They are going out of that village. They are going out of their own city. Sarvodaya, rise welfare of all. It shouldn't be the welfare of a single, said by Mahatma Gandhi. And collective harmony, individual society balancing self-interest with collective good things. In today's world or in today's scenario, how do we find Vasudeva Kutumba? It is stakeholders capitalism over shareholders primacy, global interdependency and supply chains, inclusive culture, diversity, equality, belongings, ESG, and sustainability as moral imperatives. And whereas we are finding a by example of Tata Group, we also make steel philosophy. Sarvodaya means employee according to management thoughts, employees' well-being alongside with shareholders' return, cooperative business model, Amul and Sevai, triple bottom line, people, planet, profit, all the three P's. The servant leadership, leaders as providers, whereas inclusive growth and community development. Collective harmony goes on with consensus based decision making. Village panchayat flat organizational model. Team dharma over individuals. Guru Shishya mythology, mentoring and knowledge transfer, and conflict resolution through dialogue and Shama Dharmo, Parmo Dharma. Indian philosophy sees the organization as living ecosystem, not merely an economic entity, but a social, ethical, and a spiritual community. Next slide, ma'am. Module 7, it says the decision making in Indian wisdom. The decision making in Indian wisdom, the IKS decision frameworks, Yukti, Viveka, Dharma, Sansad, and Panchayat model. What does Niti says? Niti, it is what should be done. It is the strategic wisdom. Niti focuses on choosing the right goals and methods. Rooted in classical texts like Aryabhatta, it emphasizes on long-term consequences and ethical alignment, and it balances the power, ethics, and practicality. The core relevances are strategic planning, policy formulation, corporate governance, ethics trade-offs nowadays. The next is for example, a company deciding whether to expand internationally, we must evaluate not just profit, but also political, social, and ethical implications. The next is our yukti. Yukti is the rational application, how it should be done. The previous question was what should be done. Now it is how it should be done. It means the practical reasoning and intelligence execution. Yukti is applying knowledge to real life situation. It recognizes that no single rule fits in all the situations. The same rule does not apply. There are always the exemptions, and encourages flexibility, creativity, and adaptability. According to modern relevance, there comes contingency management, situational leadership, problem solving techniques, and adaptive strategies. The example for it is during a crisis like a supply chain disruptions, managers must quickly adapt strategies rather than rigidly following the plans. The next is Viveka, discriminative wisdom. What is right and what is wrong? A choice between both of them. It means the ability to distinguish between right and wrong, essential and non essential. Viveka ensures the clarity of thought and moral judgment. It helps the leaders to separate emotions from logic. It encourages ethical awareness and self control. According to the modern relevance, we are finding ethical decision making, reduction, critical thinking, value based leadership. The example is rejecting a profitable deal because it violates the environment or social standards. The last is Dharma Sankat, ethical dilemma or resolution. What if the values conflict? Handling situation where the duties and the values clashes. Occur when multiple responsibilities conflict, personal versus professional, profit versus ethics. Inspired by teachings from Bhagavad Gita, where dilemmas are resolved through duty and dharma, reasoning and higher purpose. The same Dharma Sankat Arjun was facing. How do I put the weapons against my own family members, against my tat, against my guru, against my brothers? According to modern relevance, they are corporate ethics, whistleblowing decisions, ESG, environment, social governance, conflict stakeholders management. For example, a manager deciding whether to expose an unethical practice within the organization or to continue what it is going on. Next slide, ma'am. Integrated decision framework for IKS model is NEETI defines the right goal and strategy. Yukti chooses the best method to execute. Viveka ensures ethical and rational clarity, whereas the Dharma Sankat resolves the conflict when values clashes. Next slide, ma'am. The decision making collective model of the panchayat system that has been the basic decision model that we are finding. It is having the samveda, the vimarsha, the nishyas, the karma, and the anusandhanas, open dialogues, deep deliberations, collective determinations, committed actions, and review and learning. The modern parallels to it are broad deliberations and government commitments, agile retrospective and spirits, and Delphi methods and experts. Next slide, ma'am. IKS versus Western management, a thought of comparative framework. What is the goal of work? According to IKS, it is dharma, artha, moksha. According to Western framework, it is profit maximization. What we can synthesize is it is the conceptual capitalism. Leadership, according to IKS, it is, but according to Western framework, it is charismatic. According to synthesis, we can say it is authentic leadership. Decision model, Samveda, Viveka, and Niti should be applied. Or for Western framework, a rational economic model should be created, whereas synthesis of it is bounded rationality plus ethics. Organizational culture, HR philosophy, ethics, and time zone, they are the various other things, various dimensions through which we can find IKS versus the Western management. Next slide, ma'am. Finding the shortage of time, I have to wind up fast. How we are finding or integrating IKS and management education? It is just a small roadmap. We have to find out a curriculum integration where we'll be finding the IKS modules in OB strategy, ethics, HRM, cross leadership theory, Arthashastram in strategic management, and case studies like Tata, Amul, or Infosys. Then we are having a pedagogy and methodology. How we are teaching them, it is the experimental by yoga, meditation in the classroom, Soretic Samvad, the dialogue based learning, the Guru Shish mentoring model. We are having the mentors, we are having the mentees with us. The teachers are the mentees, the students are the mentors. Reflective journals and self inquiry. IKS is grounded with management research under the heading of research and scholarship. Indigenous case studies, the Journal on Human Values, the course by IIM Calcutta. AICT MOE IKS Project Friends is provided. The help of research and scholarship. Industry partnership companies practicing IKS are values, executing programs on dharmic leadership. Practically, faculty learning exchange should be provided and IKS based leadership coaching should be provided. Coming to the next slide, ma'am. The key text scholars and further readings that I would suggest you all to go with this. Regarding the primary IKS test, you should have the Arthashastra, the Bhagavad Gita, the Chanakya Niti, Yoga Sutra, and Manusmriti can be read. According to IKS management books, we can have Corporate Chanakya, The Difficulty of Being Good by Guru Ram Das. It is one of the best book I have ever read. Management Wisdom from Ancient India by S.K. Chaturvedi. I'm not adding any or I'm not getting any amount from these books, but these are the books that through which I have gone through. Indian Ethics and Management by Subhash Sharma and Kautilya's Arthashastra and Science Management by Santish Mode. Academic Research by MOIK. Next slide, ma'am, please. Yoga and Mindfulness and Management, Karma Yoga, Janama Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Raja Yoga. What is Karma Yoga? The purpose driven work. What work has been given to us? That is karma that we have to perform. According to his action without ego attachment, servant leadership model should be followed, ESG and CSR alignment, and duty over outcome force. Janana Yoga means knowledge leadership, continuous learning culture, intellectual humanity, and leadership, evidence based decision and learning organization. Bhakti Yoga, the employee engagement, value aligned culture, empathy led leadership, belonging and psychological safety, loyalty and commitment. Raja Yoga means dhanya, meditation for clarity, prajanya for stress reliance, for digital detox, and samadhi for deep flow of states. There comes the Patanjali's Ashta Yoga, the eight-limbed organizational framework, Yama ethics, Niyana discipline, Asana stability, and various others. But what has been the summary of it? The summary says each limb maps directly to an organizational competency. For ethical compliance, Yama to peak performance, culture, Samad. Next slide, ma'am. Yoga and mindfulness at work applications that we are following it nowadays. Yama, no harm, truthfulness, no greed, corporate ethics and compliance we are teaching to our students. Niyama, purity, contentment, self-discipline, personal productivity and culture we are teaching. Asana, stable posture and embedded presence, physical well-being at workplace. Pranayama, breath and energy regulation, stress management, exercises that we follows in our organizations. Dharna, single pointed concentration, focus, attention, and execution. Dhyana, sustained meditative awareness, leadership, reflective, and clarity. And Samadhi is unified peak conscious flow states and peak performances. According to the global corporate adaptation, Google search inside yourself mindfulness. McKinsey says leadership at the peak retreat. Etna, 2000 years saved per employee via yoga. Apple and Nike meditation rooms as standard, and Infosys TCS yoga as wellness as mandate. It has been collected from the various researchers that we have found. Next slide, ma'am. Module 9, relevance of IKS in modern business. That is the most important thing that we all should know. That is about the leadership and governance. Leadership and governance means dharmic leadership and swadharma. Corporate scandals should be known, like Satyam. Reveal the cost of adharma leadership. IKS provides an ethical backbone beyond compliances. ESG reporting, conscious capitalism, B Corp movement. The next is employee well-being and HRM, yoga, Ayurveda, Guru Shishya Parampara, Swadharma, post-pandemic great resignation signals and value a gap, IKS-based well-being, a purpose-led HR creates meaningful workplace, mindfulness programs, purpose-driven culture and DEI. Decision ethics. For this, I hope that each and everyone might have heard of a story of a crocodile and a monkey. That the monkey always used to sit on a tree. He used to eat berries. The crocodile comes someday. He found the monkey threw some berries on him. He ate them slowly and gradually. They both, monkey and that crocodile, becomes friend. One day, the crocodile's wife said that I would like to eat the heart of a monkey, because the monkey eating such tasty berries might hurt the heart of that monkey might have been very sweet. I would like to eat that. The crocodile said, okay. So he went, he said, Chalo, let's go for a ride. The monkey went sit onto the back of that crocodile and went for a long journey. In the mid, the crocodile said that I brought you so that my wife can eat your heart. Monkey, being very intelligent, he said, oh, sorry, you might have told me before. I have kept my heart on the tree. This is a story I'm emphasizing to with three main groups that I'll be dealing up with. It is the children's, the youngsters, and the corporates. The children's will have the fun from this story. He has put his heart onto the tree. Whereas the youngsters will be having a deep relationship meaning about the love, about the affection. And the last, the corporate. Keeping the heart on the tree means you will love to be there, an association with the ones whom you love. The heart specifies for love. The monkey's tree has been the safest zone for him. That is why a number of resigns had been put after COVID, because the employees are not finding their organizations as the safest place for them. They're not finding their heart over there. Hence, as per the corporate strategist, I would like to put the conclude for this point is it is difficult in different dimensions of leadership. We should try to find out where our employees will be finding much more comfortable zone, and they should not be leaving up our organizations. Sustainability and ESG, like Vasudeva Kutumba, strategic management like Arthashastra, Mandala theory, Chaturangana strategy, and organizational cultures like Panchayat model, Samved, and collective harmony. The next slide, ma'am. IKS and policy. As per NEP 2020 and AICT model, global management disclosures and India's competitive advantage over where, in what form we are finding out this IKS and policy. The next slide. Next slide, ma'am. There are the various case studies that I would like to share with you all. One is of the Tata Group, the other is of the Infosys, the Amul, the Wipro, of Azim Premji. We all are aware about these companies. How are they useful for IKS principles and practices? The next slide, ma'am. As for the Tata Group, we are finding the dharmic business model. Like IKS principle is business application. Loka Samagra is 66% of the profit to charity via Tata Trust. Dharma is TCOC, one of India's earliest ethics code. Vasudeva Kutumba, operations in 100 plus countries. Artha in Dharma means profitable and purposeful. Niti means no corruption policy since 1868. So we do not go to the market to make money as per Ratan Tata. We go to the market to serve the people. According to Amul, the again good bread grain for milk. We all know Atli Batli delicious Amul, the Amul butter, the Amul ka maska, makhan. The IKS principle is cooperative applications. The Sarvodaya over is 3.6 million farmers and they are the shareholders of the company. The Panchayat model is from village to district and from district to state. The Samvad is each village society votes on decision. The Dharma over Artha is family welfare prioritized over margins. Karma Yoga says service to rural India, not the profit extraction. Next slide, ma'am. The case studies on Infosys and Wipro, which will be the very good case studies for you to teach in the classrooms, according to me. That is my thing. Infosys, the Nishkam Karma in technology. Murthy values, client delight, leadership, integrity, fairness. The first largest Indian company to volunteer adopt US GAAP accounting transparency as dharma. ESOPs for all employees, that's Artha. He distributed equality, not hoard at the top. Campus built like a temple of learning. That is the Guru Shishya tradition that we find. The public interest is Murthy returned to rescue Infosys in 2013 when the governance collapsed as Samvardhana call. According to Wipro, Azim Premji sir, Tyag and Seva. His philosophy is of IKS is based on Tyag and Seva. Azim Premji donated around 1,45,000 crores, largest personal philanthropic gift in the Indian history. Frames it as not as a charity but as a dharmic obligation, artha in service of moksha. Azim Premji Foundation 1,50,000, government schools and 8 lakh teachers impacted. Premji, I was lucky. It was my duty to use my luck for others. It was pure karma yoga, not family name on building or any personal brand. That is selfless seva, not the PR strategy. The various questions that we can have from all these case studies are: which IKS principle does organizational embody? Where does the organization decisions make fail? Are Dharma Sankat test? Any sort of personal case study can be asked. Niti aligned resolution to it should be asked. How does you redesign your HR policy using Sarvadhana and Guru Shishya model? Or apply Vasudeva Kutumba to your supply chain? What changes would you like to make? There can be certain questions that arises for us to ask in our classes. The next slide, ma'am, that is the Vasudevan Kutumba slide. The world is our family, and we should be respecting that world. This leads to the end of our slides. This led to the end of our presentation. If there is any question, please ask.